Your Trinidad and Tobago passport is expiring, but you don't live at home anymore. You may be in Europe, Asia, Africa, or somewhere else in the world, and now you're wondering, do I have to travel back home? Where do I even apply? How much does it cost? What's the process? And a question some of us may have, would I need to go without my passport? And if so, how long? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the general process of renewing your Trinidad and Tobago passport while living abroad, and I'll also be sharing my personal experience renewing through the Trinidad and Tobago Embassy located in Brussels. So let's start with possibly the most important question. Do I have to fly back home? Do I have to plan a trip back home around the time I need to renew my passport? And the answer, thankfully, is no. If you're living abroad, the passport services can be handled in all diplomatic locations abroad. So that may be either through an embassy, high commission, consulate, or any other diplomatic mission that we have. So we have 18 diplomatic missions and maybe like 30 something honorary consuls or other missions that allow us to have the passport services done. The process is not the same for all of these missions. Depending on the mission that is responsible for you, they will have different instructions in terms of like how to apply, how to submit those documents. Do you need to make an appointment? Can you mail in your documents? And how you would receive your new passport. So of course, the most important thing now is to find out which mission is responsible for you. This information can be found on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. I'll have it linked below. But what I've also done is I've created basically a compilation of everything because everything is on separate pages. So basically, I've created a function on thisrenewaltravel.com where you can input where you're based and it will let you know which diplomatic mission is responsible for your area, some of the details in terms of the contact information, opening hours, as well as the link to the direct page with that mission's information. So once you find your mission, then you'll have the instructions based on what you want to do. So is it that you want to renew your passport, you have a lost or stolen passport, you're applying for a new passport for like a minor, etc. So depending on what you need to do, it will determine how your process will work and if you can even do it through that particular mission. In this instance, if you're looking at passport renewal, you will have the regular passport renewal form. The funny thing is you can't fill out the form online, meaning you can't use a PDF editor and fill out the form. We're still back in the times a bit. You have to print the form physically, fill it out with a black or blue ink pen. Ensure when you're putting your signature, it doesn't touch any of the lines within the box, and then scan it. But you can, of course, you can use your mobile phone, use applications to turn a picture into a PDF, and that will be the soft copy that you will be sending. Once you find the mission, the diplomatic mission that is responsible for your area, then you have to apply. If you're looking at this video, more than likely you're looking at renewing your passport. So to renew your passport, you'll need the passport renewal form, a passport size picture, and a soft copy or scan of your passport on the bio page. And if you have any changes to make on your passport, you'll need to attach the required documents. So of course, depending on your situation, for example, if you're now married as a female, you'll need to submit your marriage certificate. For some reason, males, even though if they were previously single and now married, they don't need to submit their marriage certificate, which is so crazy. But anyway, so you need to submit your marriage certificate even if you're not requesting a name change. If your status has changed from single to married as a female, you'll need to submit your marriage certificate. And in an instance where your marriage certificate is in another language, you'll need to have that translated and apostilled by like a notary or something, so it will be official. You can't just throw it into Google Translate or something and translate it yourself and share. You'll need like an official translation. Also, once you have the details for what you need to submit and the requirements, one of those things of course is your passport photo, and there are certain requirements for your passport photo, so pay attention to like the size, the lighting, etc. And one of the things that I learned, your ears need covered. So in my picture, my hair was covering my ears, so I actually had to take another photo with my ears basically uncovered. One thing I do appreciate is that they ask you to send a soft copy of all of the documents first, so they can just verify that everything is correct before you spend money to mail the documents to them, and then you find out you need to resend it. Because mailing documents, especially if you use like fast express or overnight, it may be like $40 to $50 or euro. So of course you don't want to spend that money twice for no reason. So they ask you to send a soft copy. So once you fill out the form, once you have your photo, etc., you send those documents. They check it to make sure you filled out everything correctly on the form, your photo meets the requirements, you're sending all the required documents in case you're missing anything, and then they can say, okay, these documents are okay to send, and then you can go through the process of mailing it. And I've already jumped into the next point. What's the application process? Can you mail it in? So depending on what you're going to do, if you're over the age of 16 years old and you're renewing your passport, you have the option, depending on the mission, to mail in that information. And on my website, this Renewal Travel, I have included if they have the mail-in option, I believe. And depending on what you want to do, you may have to schedule an appointment and go in. Once you have the option to mail in your documents, you send the documents, you make the payments, and how it works, it seems that they have a schedule in which they send the documents. So they may be making shipments to Trinidad. Okay, they don't actually process the documents. They're sort of like a third party that handles the documents. So once you mail the documents to them or you schedule an appointment and they have your documents, they send the documents to Trinidad. In Trinidad, that's where they renew the passports and do everything. They send the passport back to the embassy, and then the embassy handles it for you. So if they need to mail it to you, or if you make a decision to schedule an appointment to collect it, that is basically how the process would work. And then how much does it cost? For example, through Brussels, the renewal was €66. This is excluding the postage, so the money spent to mail the documents. And how the payments are made, it's made via bank transfer. So it's not like if you go online and pay, they would send you the details to make the payments, or all of the details are included in the instruction form. Now, how long does it take? Based on the information I received, they said it would take about 1 to 3 months, and for my process it was basically within the timeline, closer to the 3-month mark. Now for me, I already assumed it would take the length of the 3 months, so I didn't assume I would get it in a month. So initially I would have sent my documents around April the 24th, and it was ready for collection by June the 17th. I would also say that the members of staff were very helpful, very informative. I wouldn't say that they responded. If I send an email at 8 o'clock, they'll respond at 10, but I could expect a response in like 1 to 2 days. They'll have a reply, they'll have the information, very helpful. Now, how did we choose to do the process? Once they let you know that the passports are ready for collection, before we get there, a key question: do you have to be without your passport? No, you get to keep your passport until it's time to receive your new passport. Because of course, if you are out of the country, you don't want to be without a passport. That's a very important document to have. So fortunately, you don't need to mail in your current passport during that renewal process that takes 1 to 3 months. You will have your current passport until it's time to collect. During that stage, you will mail in your old passport to the embassy, to their address, etc., and then they would cancel that older passport basically by putting a stamp over the bio page, or maybe in other 1 or 2 pages. Also, just make a slight clip on the edges. They'll just put basically a cancelled stamp to say that it's cancelled. And this is important, especially if you have any visas, like your US visa, Canadian visa that you currently have in your older passport that you'll need to use. What you'll need to do is like pay for a prepaid postage so that they can send back your old passports, your new passport, as well as your documents that you would have sent. And I think they also send like a receipt or something stating like maybe the payments or confirmation or something like that. They send back everything. You also have the option to collect in person, but you'll need to just schedule an appointment. So I just decided to make a trip out of it. We did an overnight in Brussels. So I just looked for a date with cheap flights, scheduled the appointment. So while the passport was ready on June 17th, I didn't go to collect it until like July the 3rd. Went in to collect it, made a weekend trip, well, a 2-day trip out of collecting it. And yeah. And yeah, that was the process. One main tip I haven't mentioned: don't wait until the last minute. Of course, don't wait until your passport is already expired. No, it's not like if there's a charge for you waiting till your passport is expired, but you can renew your passport up to like, you could renew your passport at any time. My partner had a year still left on his passport, but we just renewed it at the same time to make it easy. And I would say at least minimum up to 3 months before the expiry. So for me, my passport was expiring in August. So I wanted to make sure that, because if I need to go anywhere, usually border controls usually require you to have 3 to 6 months remaining on your passport to let you into their territory. So yeah, don't be traveling or trying to travel if your passport has less than 3 months until it expires. And yeah, that's basically how it went. If there are any points or questions, leave a comment down below. I'll try my best to answer it or point you in the right direction. If you found the video to be helpful, informative, don't forget to like, hype, and you can go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in all things travel, especially from a Caribbean perspective. And safe travels until next time.